Hello, everybody. This is Purge, bringing you guys first-person replay commentary. This is the much-requested hero, Winter Wyvern. He's one of the most popular heroes in the pro scene right now. Let's take a look at the Dota buff really quick. Yeah, Winter Wyvern is extremely strong in the meta at the moment, and that's partially because he's just so good at a lot of different things. He doesn't necessarily have any major counters. Most of these are fairly small, 2% for example, but the only major one is maybe Legion Commander, but everything else is pretty straightforward. So that's his base hero. So let's talk about his skills, see why he is kind of a jack of all trades. Alright, Arctic Burn is an ability that increases your range, and for 6 seconds, if you attack somebody, they receive a debuff. It increases your range based on what level it is, and the cooldown of the ability decreases heavily from down to 50 seconds down to 20 seconds, depending on what level it is, and also reduces the mana cost. The debuff that it applies a movement speed slow of 25 to 40%. It lasts for 5 seconds, and every second it deals you 8% of your remaining HP and magic damage. So if you're full HP, Arctic Burn does a lot of damage. If you're low HP, it does very little damage, but it does still apply the slow. And you can only apply the buff once per hero every time you use Arctic Burn. So if I cast Arctic Burn and I throw the debuff on somebody, I can't reapply it 5 seconds later right before the debuff runs out. Similar to how you'd see it with like Venomancer Poison or Dragonite Poison. So hypothetically, if you're min-maxing this skill, you'll attack every person once with this ability. Sometimes that's not worth it because you are also right-clicking. So in a lot of early game scenarios, pro players will oftentimes just attack one person with it, and the reason they do that is because sometimes it makes the difference between them getting a kill or not because you get an extra auto-attack in. So keep that in mind. But as a whole, Arctic Burn, very good zoning skill, very good roaming skill, scales pretty nicely throughout the entire game, helps you de-ward, gives you a couple other options like that. Second skill is Splinter Blast. It's one of his... I really like this ability a lot. It does a massive amount of damage compared to most nukes, 340, and it has an extremely overpowered cooldown at 7 seconds. Most AoE abilities have cooldowns that are 12 seconds or larger, somewhere around that, at least 10 seconds, but Splinter Blast is a very low cooldown ability at 7 seconds. The mana cost goes up to 150, which is normal. I think it's pretty balanced there, maybe a little high, but pretty normal. And it also applies a movement speed slow of 25% for 4 seconds. Now, the way it works is, it's a bit different. You cast it on a single hero, the projectile flies out really fast, and then it hits the person, and then from the target that it hits, it splinters ice shards outward. So it doesn't actually damage the person you cast it on, it damages the people that are next to the person that you cast it on. So this ability is a little hard to use, and that's the only reason that its cooldown and its damage are so high. It's because it's not easy to land. If you're attacking somebody completely by themselves in a jungle, Splinter Blast does nothing unless they summon a creep or something like that, or an enemy hero comes nearby. So Splinter Blast is really good at farming in a lot of cases. It's best for counter pushing and split pushing, and that's because the cast range is massive. I don't see what the cast range is on here, but you'll see it when I play the game. You can cast it from probably like 900 away, 900 units, really, really far away. So if a creep wave is pushing up on a tower, you cast the Splinter Blast, it'll nuke almost all the creeps, it'll kill the range creep, it'll keep one of the creeps at full HP, but the other ones take 340 damage, so it's very good at counter pushing, and the cooldown is so low that you can spam it like twice per wave. So very good ability for counter pushing, good ability for team fighting, it applies a decent slow, and it's low cooldown. So it's a little hard to use, especially when people are escaping fights. It's best to initiate with it in a lot of cases because they will be moving away from creeps usually when they run away. His third skill is really strong as well. It's called Cold Embrace. You cast it on an ally, and it gives them infinite armor, so they're completely immune to physical damage for 4 seconds, and it also stuns them. So it's usually used when your ally is stunned and taking damage, or when they're getting Omni-Slashed or Legion Commander duel, because then they can't take any more damage, and you're also regenning HP on them while you cast it. It regens between 3 to 6% of their max HP per second for 4 seconds. Very good skill, good for healing people, good for sieging. The more HP that the person you cast it on has, the more heal they get. So it pairs very well with really tanky heroes like Shadow Fiend, Bristleback, stuff like that. Your ultimate is a bit interesting. It's called Winter's Curse. You cast it on a single target. It gives you a big AoE though, and it stuns that person. And while that Winter's Curse is cast on them, any heroes nearby within 400 radius will attack their ally. The people that are attacking their ally, they take 70% less damage. It didn't used to be like this. Everybody used to take the same, but it was thought to be OP, and it was definitely OP. Now it lasts for 2.5 to 3.5 seconds. It costs 250 mana. The cooldown's really high at 110. But the main thing is that you're stunning essentially multiple heroes, and you can get some cores to focus their right clicks on some other allies sometimes, which is really good. So that's his skills. Very common in the safe lane. His win rate is pretty much fair in a lot of ways at about 50%. His win rate in the pro scene is good, but not overpowered, I feel. I feel like Winter Wyvern is in a position where he might receive a very, very small nerf. Something small like maybe a cooldown increase on Cold Embrace or something, maybe a second increase on Splinter Blast. Something like that is a possibility, but I don't think Winter Wyvern is particularly overpowered. He has a very, very high pick rate in the pro scene right now. In a lot of cases, he's picked first just because he does cover all things. This is the most popular ability build. This is like the first time that the most common build in pubs have been accurate. Keep in mind that these aren't like made by Dota Buff. These are made by, this is the most popular build in pubs. This means that pub players are actually building this hero correctly. The only thing that you could maybe argue is getting a Splinter Blast at 2-3 instead of a Cold Embrace. If you're in a tri-lane versus tri-lane situation, Cold Embrace at 2 is almost always better because right clicks in a tri-lane situation is almost all the damage. But maxing Splinter Blast by 7 is definitely what you should do. Some players will get a second level of Arctic Burn, but if you look at the scaling, it only decreases the cooldown by 10 seconds, it increases your range by 100, and it increases the slow by 5%, decreases the mana by 10. It actually doesn't increase the damage you do, with the exception of the fact that they're slower and your range is higher, so you might get an extra attack off. I don't like getting extra points of Arctic Burn. I like maxing it after Splinter Blast. Splinter Blast is too good to neglect because by the time it's maxed, you counter push, you can farm passively if you want to, you can go split push. If you have Arctic Burn, you can use it more often, but 10 seconds in cooldown is not going to make a difference. I've been an advocate of this build basically since the start. So either get Cold Embrace at 2, 3, or 4 basically. It comes down to what you feel like doing with it and whether or not you want that armor. Get your ulti whenever possible, decrease cooldown, increase duration. Alright, let's talk about some items. We can look at skills. Your strength gain is pretty good. Maybe they need to nerf his strength gain. I could see that being fair. Nerf strength gain of Winter Wyvern. That's maybe what I would do. His agility gain is pretty bad, and his int gain is good. His movement speed is awful, it's 285. And other than that, his base damage is really bad as well, but that's balanced because Arctic Burn does so much damage. Alright, items. Arcane Boots is the most popular. I don't like this very much. I really like Tranquil Boots and Soul Ring. The reason I think this is good is because your agility gain is really bad, so you need to increase your survivability with your Tranquil Boots. You can argue that with Arcane Boots, you can just use Cold Embrace to heal yourself, and that's true, but if you're missing a lot of HP, it's going to cost you a lot of mana to heal back up. Also, I think Soul Ring synergizes perfectly with the hero because he has a spell that you like to spam a lot. It is Splinter Blast. It costs 150 mana at level 4. That's exactly what a Soul Ring gives you. So every time you want to cast a Splinter Blast, you Soul Ring, throw the Splinter Blast, and you save 150 mana. If you do go Arcane Boots, you could probably justify going like Arcane Mech into Guardian Greaves, but pretty much every single game that I play Winter Wyvern, I go Tranquil Boots Soul Ring, and almost every other pro Winter Wyvern does that as well. I think it's much better. Buying something like a mech, you can maybe argue it's good, but I think it's a little bit off base for what Winter Wyvern needs. The best go-to item to get is Glimmer Cape. The reason being that you can already make one of your allies physical immune. This allows you to protect an ally in a secondary way, which is make them invisible, or to reduce the magic damage they're taking. So if you really want to, what you can do is you can Cold Embrace an ally while he's getting stunned, and also Glimmer Cape him, so he's immune to physical, and he takes greatly reduced magic damage all while he's healing. So that's why the Glimmer Cape's so good. You can also initiate with it, make yourself invis, walk up to your opponents, cast Winter's Curse. Those are other options that you get out of it. Force Staff is also good sometimes if you're against a hero like Clockwork. You can use Force to save an ally. Blink Dagger is fantastic because you can use Blink Winter's Curses. Some Winter Wyvern games, Winter Wyverns will just rush the Blink Dagger. It just depends on the playstyle, how you want to play your Winter Wyvern. Things like Urn, I think, are a good idea as well, but it's maybe not that needed because you can already heal with Cold Embrace and you're a bit item slot limited. Because you're already going to buy, if you buy Tranquil Boots and Soul Ring, and you get a Magic Wand, you're already 3 items deep. TP Scroll's 4th. You don't really have space for an Urn. If you go Arcane Boots, you could definitely justify getting an Urn, especially because of the fact that you're not going to have as much regen on your hero. So I like Urn with Arcane Boots. I think that'd be a good build, but if I'm going Tranquil Soul Ring, I'm not going to get Urn. But I think Urn is okay. Another item that's on the most built list is Yule Scepter. I almost never build this. I actually did build it this game, but I think I built it for good reason. I was against an Ursa, and it prevents him after he initiates. It gives me a way to stop him without having to use my ultimate. So one downside to this hero is that your only way to stun people, other than your allies, that is Cold Embrace, is to use Winter's Curse. And it's on such a big cooldown that if somebody just aggressively postures, like blinks aggressively on your team, you don't necessarily want to Winter's Curse him. You usually want to use to save that so that you stun multiple heroes with it. So having something like a Eul's can be useful against heroes like that that initiate, whether Earthshaker or Ursa, for example. So again, heroes you're good against are heroes that do a lot of physical damage, and you can preferably defend against them. Techies, Legion Commander. I think the Techies advantage here is possibly here because of Arctic Burn, but also because of the armor. If somebody's low, you can stop the damage being dealt to them. Legion Commander, if you duel somebody, you just give him the old Cold Embrace. And some of these other heroes are Meepo. You have an advantage versus Meepo because if you ulti a Meepo, all of his other Meepos will attack that one Meepo, and that could do a lot of damage. Not sure about Venge. Troll Warlord makes sense. Single target damage. Lifestealer, single target damage. Chaos Knight, single target damage. And you have a lot of AoE with Splinter Blast and Winter's Curse, so you're good against illusion heroes, so more or less. You're apparently not very good versus PL, which kind of makes sense. Because PL is he just resummons illusions too fast. Ogre Magi, I'm not sure what that's about. Again, anything below 2% is okay, but not that amazing. And here's your bad against Pugna, because he's going to nuke you a lot when he puts on his Nether Ward and you cast spells, because all your spells are pretty expensive. 250, 75, 150, and 90. So casting Splinter Blast twice in a fight, you're going to take a lot from the Nether Ward. Or Spirit has silences and stuns and things, and he can basically damage through the Cold Embrace. Not a big deal for him. Visage is hard to kill. Timbersaw, you don't have enough lockdown to beat him. Undying, you don't have enough lockdown and nuke damage to beat him. A lot of these heroes just are pretty good against Winter Wyvern. Huskar is good against Winter Wyvern as well because he's very immune to magic damage. Not immune, but takes very little magic damage. And Winter Wyvern doesn't have that much physical damage. Doesn't have much of any, really. Crit, one of the players that plays a lot of Winter Wyvern, recently won the Frankfurt Major, and he played a lot of Winter Wyvern there. If we look at the meta trends, aka what his win rate is. Oops. Okay, here's Winter Wyvern. 50%, 0.7% win rate, 50.7% win rate at the 2K and below mark, and 50.66% at the 5K. So out of all the heroes that we've looked at on the hero meta statistics, this one's actually pretty balanced at all MMRs. Looks like they have a little bit of trouble with him here at 3K, or I think this is 4K. 3 to 4K and 2 to 3K. Looks like they're a little bit unexperienced at Winter Wyvern and knowing how to play him efficiently. But at the high level mark, he's strong, but he's not overpowered. And this is one of the reasons that I think he's in an okay place. The only thing that's saying maybe Winter Wyvern is OP is that he's picked a lot in the pro scene. But I believe his win ratio is not always amazing. So that'll tell you a little bit of something about that. Winter Wyvern, I have about a 53% win ratio. Played 17 games. Decent amount. I played him a lot when he first came out, and then I kind of stopped. So that is everything that you guys might need to know about the data behind Winter Wyvern. Let's hop into the game. So this is a solo queue game. Most of the time you guys don't request support heroes because I make way more support videos, because whenever I solo queue I only play support. If you guys haven't heard this before, I raise my MMR by playing support only. I play core occasionally if I get into a rare game where I actually have two allies that pick support before me. And if that's the case, whatever, I'll play a core. But usually I feel a lot more comfortable in support than I do on a mid, carry, or off lane. So anyways, I get to play support this game. I tried to pick Winter Wyvern a little bit earlier here, but my allies were actually going straight forward. I don't really like picking first when I'm playing solo queue, and the reason is because I feel like supports can also counterpick very well. It's something that they're able to do, and it shouldn't be looked down upon. A lot of times supports do want to pick at least one of their heroes first, but I think it's a mistake to pick two supports first, because supports do make an impact on countering enemy cores in a lot of ways, and it changes how much they can gank, for example. So right now I pick Winter Wyvern. It's not particularly good against any of these heroes that I'm against, but that's the nice part about the hero, that she's pretty good against all heroes. It is a female hero, by the way. Can't you see her hair? It's obvious. Against the Shadow Fiend, Winter Wyvern is okay. I can Ice Armor up an ally that's in some trouble. They did last pick Ursa here, which I think was a pretty good pick because our disables are a little weak. But Winter Wyvern's okay against Ursa due to Cold Embrace. Now, I don't think I ever saved an ally against Ursa because it's a little scary. He initiates and he does damage so fast that it's kind of like, wow, he actually killed them before I could react. But that's because I'm bad, not necessarily because it's a bad counter. But Ursa very good at killing people rapidly.
Prepare for battle.
Slow this down a little bit here. Alright, down to 1 time. So these are my standard items when I'm playing support. Usually I buy a courier, I buy 2 observer wards, and I buy 2 tangos, a clarity, and an ironwood branch. But my Tusk, the Tusk on my team already bought an observer ward. So I basically said, okay, I get an extra clarity potion. I think that was what I think I could justify an extra clarity over an extra ironwood branch. It was either an extra clarity or an extra ironwood branch. Ironwood giving me one of all stats, obviously, giving me slight mana, slight HP, slight damage, all that good stuff. The reason I buy this starting item build on almost all my supports is because I don't really know how my lane's going to go, and I want to make sure that it goes well. And the best way to do that is just to make sure that you have a ridiculous amount of regen. And by ridiculous, I mean 6 tangos is plenty. There's very few games where I'll find that 6 tangos is not enough. And this also allows me to give 2 tangos to my mid hero, which helps him out a lot, because then he doesn't have to buy tangos, and that can get him faster to his good items. So sacrificing yourself as a support is part of raising your MMR as a support. In my experience, it is far better to do that, to sacrifice yourself slightly than anything else. Got my Arctic Burn here, but unfortunately the Shadow Fiend is pretty much gone. I was able to get damage onto the Ursa as well, which is nice. But I probably only did like maybe 100, 200 damage to the Ursa. Did quite a bit to the Shadow Fiend because I hit him when he was at full HP, but unfortunately we did not get a gank there. I think they should have waited like an extra 4 seconds until I got there or so before they initiated, because then I could apply the slow as they're going for the bounty rune. I think they went a little bit too early, and all they had for disables was basically 1 Slar stun. They could have my slow and an ice shards, and that's it. So it's not really enough, I don't think. But on the bright side, the SF's pretty low, and I'm basically looking around the map right now and saying, where am I going to be best useful? I can either roam mid, and instantly I see 2 heroes top, and I say, okay, I'm going to be most useful on the top lane. And my Arctic Burn's almost off cooldown. First thing you should do is always check to see if the camp's blocked. It is blocked, otherwise I would have stacked that and pulled. Or just pulled and pulled through. And since I have Arctic Burn up, I'm going to go for the slow. I'm going to hit both of them once, at least, because I want to do extra damage, and then I'm going to hit this Razor as much as I could. I actually backed off here. We did not anticipate the Sunstrike coming in, and unfortunately the Razor was going to live from this, so that was a little unfortunate. We also pushed the wave, which isn't a very good thing to do. And I can't also pull the small camp, so now I'm kind of in a bad situation. Normally, what probably should have happened is the Tusk should have given me one of his sentries, because if you buy sentries, at the very least, they should be in the area of the safe lane. But he didn't give me sentries, and because of that, I can't just go and attempt to deward. So instead, I basically have to do a side pull on the large camp, which is still pretty good to do. As of this point, I feel like I was contributing to my lane in a decent way. Maybe not amazingly, but it was working out okay. We got a lot of harass on the Razor, cost him a salve. There's also a rune coming up, and maybe this is a bit of a mistake, but I basically left the lane to go get the rune. Last hitting those neutrals like that is really important to do. And especially when you do a side pull like this and they shift over to contest it, it's kind of important to stay in the area. The reason being that if this neutral dies right now and I'm not here, the Lich gets the full experience. So he's going to get like at least a half level out of that neutral dying. Yes. But the difference is that I wanted to grab this haste rune and maybe attempt to kill. Or grab the rune and see what it is, because rune control is really important against mid heroes. Like the way that I thought about it the other day that I hadn't thought of before is that in a lot of cases, you could just get a gank every time that you get the rune. Like a lot of the times this is going to be a bounty, but what if it's an invis? What if it's a haste rune? You can get stuff done with that. Tusko's shifting over, he's going to grab the haste rune, we're going to try to set up on top. I was guessing that they had an observer ward due to how they backed off, and if we look, yes they did. I figured that out because they backed as soon as we grabbed the haste. Just going to do some damage to these guys. The tower hit me pretty much the entire time, and this was when I realized that I was extremely dead. So that was a pretty big mistake. I thought I got out of tower range, but I did not. So I gave first blood to the Razor. I did pretty good damage in that fight, I'm sure, but if we open up the combat log, it's going to pause the game, and I'll look really quick, but let's say Winter Wyvern versus Lich, for example. And we'll go, yeah, sure, refresh. So it actually didn't do that much. Arctic Burn did 15, 15, 7, 7, 4. But what about against Razor? It's not bad. I hit him for 31, and then the burn did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's about, basically got like 150 damage in. That's it's not bad. The Arctic Burn is really not bad. So with me feeding First Blood, I felt like I needed a little more survivability. If I had something like a Ring of Protection, I probably wouldn't have died to the tower there. But now it's 3 minutes, and I'm pretty behind. The small camp is blocked, so I can't catch up in that way. We can pull the side camp, but that's about it. Looks like the Tusk wasted all of his sentries. I looked there. I was like, where's his sentries? He can deward. And he actually put one on the large camp in the Radiant jungle.
Purge, how's it going?
Oh. I'm recording. Shut up.
I'm sorry.
I forgot I was on here. Goodbye. I'm on TeamSpeak.
Sound muted.
It's mute all sounds. Sorry about that, guys. That was Pimp. So, if you... Yeah, he blocked the camps, but I don't think that was really worth it. All it basically protected them to do was that it prevented the Earthshaker from pulling to the mid lane. Which I don't even know if you can do right now. So, I don't know. His sentries were completely wasted. He should have brought them top. I should have communicated better, maybe, that the camp was blocked. That would have helped, but not getting that was a big deal, I think. I do get level 2 here, and I'm going to save my skill point, because I'm not quite sure yet if I want to use Splendor Blast or if I want to use Cold Embrace. So I'm just going to hold it here. Again, it is a aggressive dual lane, so we have to be a bit worried about that. You can take a look at CS if you guys are curious. Invoker's doing really well mid, extremely well mid actually. Quite possibly because the SF did take a lot of damage in the laning stage. I'm not quite sure though. Check the camp again, it is still blocked. We do see the Earthshaker though, and we should be able to go on this for a kill. We pinged this one out before it happened. I'm doing a lot of damage with my Arctic Burn. Getting a lot of right clicks in as well, and he gets the pounce off in. A really nice kill actually, that helps a lot. I believe I bought my Flying Courier there because it's almost 5 minutes and it's really late to have. Got a Slark pause here for a bit. I don't remember what this was about. I think he actually did need a pause based on the fact that he's not moving. I didn't even notice this. Okay, he's back. Just gonna kill the illusion. I thought it was pretty clear this was an illusion. It's definitely important you kill those. First of all, block the large camp, which is maybe an okay thing for them, maybe an okay thing for us. But you don't want them to know exactly where you're walking. Their observer ward can't see me from here, but I'm just gonna sit in the side jungle for now. This is kind of a, like, this is basically what happens if you get your pull blocked as a support. There's not that much you can do. This is what you do if there's nothing to do. You stack camps or you check runes. So running this way I think was a mistake. I don't know why I did that. Oh, I was thinking about going. I actually did show here. Why did I back up? I'm not quite sure. You just did so much damage. I do get the Ursa at least. My Splinter Blast was really late, so I didn't get that slow. That was pretty bad. I have my level 3 as well, just not sure what I want to skill yet. I just didn't anticipate the Slaughter wrecking him like that, but he is level 6. Earthshaker is level 3, so that was pretty clear. I get a little bit of experience out of that, use my Clarity Potion. See if I can get a rune. No rune for me. I really had a rough game, early game. The pull block actually makes a huge difference. Kind of wanted to pressure the Shadow Fiend here, because we had some allies in the area, so I thought maybe we could get a kill. I think I pinged out Arctic Burn being on cooldown here. And then he used Cold Snap, which I thought was very weird. If he actually just saved Cold Snap, we could have just dived him right here. I feel like the Invoker kind of messed this one up. I stopped looking at the map, basically. And I hit the Shadow Fiend. But the other issue is that Invoker at this point got ganked by Razor. And now I'm kind of screwed because I don't have flying. I'm very likely to get caught. I didn't want them to have vision of me, but unfortunately both the Razor and the Earthshaker provided it. And this means that I die for sure. And I wasn't quite sure what to buy. Didn't have money for boots yet. End up getting killed. But I think he maybe should have saved his Cold Snap, but I could have probably communicated better with him, so that he knew what I was planning to do. Because the fact that he wasted it like that was a bit of a mistake, obviously. Ursa is very hard to kill here. I'm going to TP to the bot lane, because getting a kill on him would be pretty big. Fortunately, I don't have Arctic Burn just yet. Earthshaker coming, it's a little bit hard, but luckily we did have vision of the Earthshaker and they got a little close together. So using Splinter Blast doesn't guarantee the kill. I think Sunstrike must have got him. It did. That's really big. It's nicely done by the Earthshaker to kill me. If I had boots there, I would have lived. And that's so much damage. the taunts, man. So because the Earthshaker and the Ursa moved together, then I got an opportunity to Splinter Blast. And I maybe used it a bit late, and I'm still really far behind. But that fight was really good for our team. The biggest problem, though, if you are playing like a roaming style as a support, that if you get behind like this and you're not, and you don't survive till the end of the fights, then you get no comeback experience, basically. Because I died pretty early there. I didn't get experience for the Ursa. Invoker got a great Sunstrike, obviously. But I didn't get experience for the Ursa. I didn't get experience for anybody. Pretty much just died a lot. And then Slark kind of messed up here. I want to talk about this a bit because it's pretty important. Have to. Okay. And I realized this as the Slark was doing it, but I don't think he realized. And as the game ended, he was only 5,000 MMR points, so I think he didn't quite understand how he's screwing me over. But when you're playing Slark, or when you're playing a carry and you're with the support, you have to think about the support a little bit and at least concern yourself with what are they going to do to come back. So Slark's probably just thinking straight ahead, like, I need to get as much farm as possible, right? He obviously messed up his skill build. He should have gotten his ult at 6. He probably just misskilled, no big deal. But he's trying to get his 7 as fast as he can so that he gets his ult and then he can be full healed. So I kind of understand him killing the small camp. But the issue is that if he continuously kills the small camp whenever there's a little bit of downtime over here, it prevents me from pulling. And pulling is by far the fastest way that I'm going to get back into the game in terms of gold. It's the fastest way that I'm going to get boots, basically, without having to take a solo lane. So by him going into the lane a little bit and then immediately leaving and killing the small camp and then leaving the small camp dead, then it really screws me over. So if you guys are playing carry, make sure that you're careful about that. It's a really big deal. This one was okay, I thought, but he did one later where he killed the small camp again and I was very frustrated because I was like, dude, I'm level 3 here. I need to get some levels. I need to get some pulls off. I need to get lane equilibrium. And he kept going back and killing the small camp. So he hits level 7 here. That should give him his ulti. Now he should be able to hide and heal. And I was like, alright, cool. I can take last hits. Because obviously he's going to be healing, right? Nope. He's like, let's go chance life. I'm going to put an Arctic Burn down on the Razor just because of the free damage. I did a lot of damage there. Let's take a look at how much damage that did, by the way. Because I think it's important to notice, like, it's actually pretty severe. Arctic Burn did 33 damage with 2 right clicks, 33 and 36. And it did 50, that's 100, that's 150. I did about 220 damage with 1 skill point. It's pretty amazing. That's so much damage. Helping out with the last hitting. So this would be a perfect time for me to go for my small camp, basically. And instead Slark says, okay, I'm being pressured, go kill the small camp. Maybe not. Maybe he's just leaving. Alright, so now I'm basically in the position that I want to be as a roaming hero that's behind. I did facilitate some kills, but I definitely didn't play the early game very well. I would say that I played the early game bad. My death mid on Shadow Fiend was a miscommunication. My death top with the haste rune was a pretty big mistake as well. My third death I didn't feel bad about. But if I didn't make those previous deaths, I probably wouldn't have died the third time. So, pretty significant in the scope of things. Now I'm basically forced to come back rather than being ahead. So this is the perfect time for me to go pull, basically. I probably should have already been in the position. Instead I sat behind the Slark, and I went to go buy boots. Little unlucky on the bounce there. But I should have gone back and pulled here, because the Slark was pushing up. So now the creep wave's pushing up, and what does Slark do? He immediately runs to the safe lane, or to the small camp.
Radiant's middle tower is
And he
under
kills it.
attack.
And this prevents us from getting the creep wave back in equilibrium. It prevents us from getting solo experience individually. All that happens is he farms an extra
Radiant's middle
50
tower
gold or
is
so.
under attack.
Moves like that are a really big mistake. I did barely catch him in the Splinter Blast. I should have launched that a little bit earlier. I feel like the Tusk should have roamed a little bit more top early game, but either way that was a good pickup. I used my Clarity Potion here. I think this was a slight mistake because I wanted to do a pull on the small camp. But at this point I believe the Slark was pinging for us to take the tower, which is an okay choice, I think. He was pinging to take the tower. I was like, I don't think we're going to get it. You guys are kind of low. I don't feel very good about this. And then I ultimately decided to stand in a circle for about 15 seconds until I eventually grabbed a tango and shifted over to push. So pushing, when you're pushing as a support, you usually, assuming you have a lot of extra mana, you usually just want to nuke the wave, basically. You want to kill the waves as fast as possible, because that's going to get the creeps hitting the towers as fast as possible, and it's going to give you as much time to right-click the tower as possible. So when a new creep wave comes up like this, use your spells. Clear cut.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Tower goes down. I pick up my first item. It's going to be a Tranquil Boots. If you're doing really well, you could probably get away with going Brown Boots Soul Ring first. But because I'm not doing amazing, I felt like going for Tranquil Boots first was going to be better. So I'm going to buy myself Clarity Potion. I bought myself the Soul Ring recipe. I'm going to put that on the courier. And that way, if I'm somewhere other than the base, I can finish my Soul Ring. So I started moving it down to the tier 2 because I was planning on TPing. But then I decided to go top and pull anyways because I'm not quite 6. So I kind of wasted my courier time because somebody was waiting for it. I forgot that I had put it there. I thought that somebody else had put it there.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are
So this is a really good thing to do. After you take a tier 1 tower, you immediately pull. Because if you see where the creep wave is right now, somebody on the Radiant team should be killing this, but they're not. They're off doing something else. If they would be killing the creep wave instead, they'd be getting farm and CS. And by doing this pull through here, I basically get the creep wave back into a better place. I was a little bit worried about my teammates starting to fight here, but luckily it worked out just fine. I can do the side pull on the large camp, and their creep wave is going to push forward. Looking to see if I need to TP, doesn't really look like it. And now I kind of want to be a little bit greedy and sit halfway between each experience point, because as these creeps die over here, I'll get experience because nobody else is here. So I'm going to stand close to that. And then if the centaur is about to die, then I'm going to shift towards the centaur. Technically, it's maybe a little better to be getting gold as well as experience, but I was more concerned about getting, at the very least, experience on both. I feel like experience on supports is generally more important than the gold is. And by doing that pull, I basically reset the lane. I got experience on a small camp, I got experience on part of a large camp, and now I'm almost level 6. I could have had more gold, yes. I maybe could have had like my Sage's Mask finished or a Ring of Regen in my inventory, but I'm pretty content with this. I'm about to hit 6. It's 14 minutes. I'm late, definitely. But considering that I played bad early, I kind of deserve that. So, not a big deal. Clarity Potion's ready to go at any time. In case I get... It's basically my soul ring. My temporary soul ring. I'll again do a pull. Just because free golden experience. I don't know if I can pull through. Oh, I guess the other centaur did die. Fortunately, he did not die. Pulled this one a little bit late. You always want to pull when there's one and a little bit more creeps left in almost all situations. So the only way to catch this is for him to attack, and then as he attacks, for me to drag it in. I only got the range creep out of it, which is kind of bad. And now I'm going to finally TP mid. So it looks like I can actually help in this one. It's a pretty deep fight. Just use Arctic Burn to fly over. I'm going to ulti this one since they're both together. Now I got a Clarity Potion.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Fortunately, that was pretty much the limit of our disables, so the Invoker just kind of walked away. Or, I'm sorry, the Shadow Fiend just kind of walked away at that point. I was just very happy I did not lose my Clarity Potion, though. I bought my Sage's Mask here. This is a bit of a mistake. I bought it because I was far away from the side shop, but then eventually I end up walking to the right side. Anyways, and I'm like, you know what? I really shouldn't have bought the Sage's Mask there. I was a little worried about Ursa being in here because I felt like we hadn't seen him in a while. So that's why I pinged there. Always got to be worried about the Ursa. Now, when you're in positions like this as a support, where you go to a lane that's a little dangerous, there's at basically any moment they can come and gank you, and it becomes pretty straightforward to do so. Like, they can basically look at the map and say, hey, that Winter Wyvern is by our tier 1 tower. All we have to do is TP and kill him. I could TP, but it's probably not worth it here. So it's kind of dangerous for me to farm here, but because there's a lot of
Dire's
action
middle
going
tower
on,
is under attack.
it's less likely that they're going to gank me. And now with my Soul Ring up, I can basically push waves a lot easier. Just going to fly into the Roche Pit just to make sure Ursa isn't here. He is not. Use my Soul Ring for that because obviously it would have lost me 120 mana. And there we go. So now I'm pretty much mana independent and I focus on support items. I maybe should have bought more Observer Wards earlier than this, but I did not. Tusk TP to the bot lane. I was asking him to smoke with me, but he didn't do that. So it's a little bit wasted there. And we need to take more tier 1 towers. I think we haven't done a very good job of that. I pinged out saying that my ultimate was ready.
Is under attack.
Fortunately, I do not have my Arctic Blast.
Dire structures are fortified.
I maybe should have ultied the Ursa instead, but... maybe a mistake here for me to use that ability on the Slardar, but I'm not entirely sure. He does end up getting the kill, and I got some levels out of that, which is good. I was around for the Ursa kill. You could maybe argue that I should have ultied the Ursa instead of the Razor, but I don't know if it was going to make a big difference because this is really nicely done by the Slardar to retreat after the second hit. I really like that he played that. He played that very well. He's 8-0 and 8. Slardar like completely carried the early game. I maybe should have ultied the Ursa, but Ursa had his ultimate on, so he would have taken reduced damage reduction anyway, so really I just would have kind of wasted his ultimate, which is the point, but I thought I could do that while also doing damage to Razor, and ultimately it ended up working out. We got both kills. So I put an Observer Ward up near the Roche Pit. I'm going to sit in the Roche Pit temporarily,
Radiant's bottom tower
because
is
I think
under
we were
attack.
talking about taking it. It's a bit better if you get a pick first before you go for Roche, though. And with that said, we found a Shadow Fiend any moment now. Saw a Shadow Fiend. It was a little slow to react, but pretty easy kill there. Can you use Splinter Blast to break Roshan's Lincoln Sphere?
Roshan has fallen to the dire.
So at this point I get a wand, I get a cloak, and this is your progression basically. Sometimes you get a stick early game before you do get your magic wand or your soul ring. I'm sorry, before you get your soul ring. But in this game, because I was behind, I needed mana more than I needed a magic wand. And now that I've got that, look at the range on this, by the way. It's like such a big range. Now that I have that magic wand, get the cloak to increase your magic resistance. And then you're kind of covered against everything. Your HP is alright. It's not amazing, but it's okay. You've got decent armor due to having the Tranquil Boots, and then you transition that into having the Glimmer Cape. Very important. Now, if I'm ever in trouble, the way to get out of it is basically for me to activate Arctic Burn and me to fly in trees and TP. Because when you activate Arctic Burn, you have flying vision. Or flying movement, sorry. Way different. So having flying movement is very good.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
It's like we're going to lose our top tier 1. But we do kill theirs. We should have gotten the last hit on that. The fact that neither of us did was bad. We also get mid, which is good.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
And now with the jungle opened up, we're in a really good spot. So if you're playing a support in a position like this where it's not very safe to be down here, what you do is you wait for the creep that the creeps are attacking to get low, and then you cast Splinter Blast in a place where you'll get the last hit on the ranged, and that one melee unit. You can hear the Ursa using Overpower. I think he's ganking me here. Pretty sure. And to escape, I fly into a tree clump and I TP. Now when my Arctic Burn ends, you break the trees. So you didn't get to see it there, but if you teleport while you're inside trees, he can't easily kill you. If I didn't have Tranquil Boots there, by the way, he would have killed me 100%. You can criticize him for having a Midas, because Midas prevents you from getting right on top of your opponent. Like, for example, if he had Blink there, he could have hit me a few times, maybe blinked on top of me in the trees, and then killed me. But he didn't do that. It would have also been really nice for me to have an Observer Ward after we took that tier 1 tower, because I could have taken that moment to move through the jungle and put a deep jungle ward, which would have easily prevented the Ursa from killing me. But now that we've killed all the tier 1s, we open the map up in a decent place. I've got all the items I basically need for the rest of the game with the exception of Glimmer Cape. and I can easily support my allies. I'm just going to cast my heal here on the Invoker to heal him up a bit. Heals him by 12% HP, I think, so that should be like, I don't know, 200 HP, something like that, 300 HP. It's not bad. Just going to check to see if they have an Observer Ward here, because it's a very common ward spot to have, especially when our tier 1 tower is dead. They probably have one in the jungle, in our jungle, if we take a look. They actually don't have one. They have one over here. But I think it's safe to go for D wards like that. I was doing a jungle stack here, and they smoked without me, which is a bit weird, but... They told me to show mid, so that they would think that we're not ganking or smoke ganking or something, but... I don't know. I wish that I would have been there in the smoke. I think that would have been better. I'm going to show up, but I do want to throw a Splinter Blast on the way there. It's always good to push lanes. Splinter Blast did not work out in my favor.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Slaughter has to be really careful against Ursa. It's actually a pretty good counter. Maybe not a counter. Slaughter is probably stronger than Ursa in most cases, but Ursa does so much damage so fast that if you make any mistakes, if you stand near him too long and your stun isn't up, then you just die. Because normally Slaughter is tanky enough that he doesn't get killed in a couple of hits. Arcelec played really well here. I feel like he played better than his MMR. He played better than a 5k player, I think. And in a lot of cases. His carry potential is good. Maybe his game knowledge about tri-lanes was a bit weak, but...
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structure.
Very common Observer Ward placement. So I put a sentry down to check for it. I don't personally like warding there, so I'm going to ward in a similar area, but a place that won't get de-warded. And it also gives us a lot of vision behind their tower. So we can now see exactly where they are. I put that one on the Shadow Fiend, actually pushed the wave really well. I was happy with that. This is basically what you should be doing as Winter Wyvern. You sit back, you throw your nukes. Got him. And it's time for the old check how much damage you just did to Shadow Fiend. Oops. 85, 160, 240, 300, 360 magic damage plus 34. That's after reduction, guys. That's a crap load of damage. Arctic Burn, man. It's a good skill. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about my ulting of the Earthshaker. A lot of times when you're playing Winter Wyvern, you will use your ultimate like that. If anything, I've had a lot of atypical Winter Wyvern ults this game, where most of the time I'm using it in a way that is setting... Like, I got a lot of teamfight ultimates off, but just using it to, like, guarantee a stun on a hero or initiate is very common for Winter Wyvern. It is not weird at all to just use it for the stun duration on one hero, because the hero is lacking that. He doesn't have a reliable stun, or she doesn't have a reliable stun. You have to rely on your Winter's Curse sometimes, just for that. I kind of want to place a ward here by the tier 2, but I won't do that because I already had one in the jungle. It'd be a little bit counter. We're shifting towards the mid lane, so I used Arctic Burn to fly over the tree line, or fly over the cliff. Put an Observer Ward in a common place that we can spot people at the tier 2. I don't know if they had a ward on the high ground. Maybe that's... I know they de-warded it. No, it looks like they didn't. Looks like they just predicted where it would be. I did place a very common ward spot, so it's not weird at all for them to anticipate that. And I just want to stand in a place where I can fly over the trees and initiate if I need to. See, yeah, he puts the sentry down there. I had a great ultimate here. Guarantees the kill on the Razor. My Splinter Blast is really good too. I should have been able to cold embrace the Ursa there. I messed that up. Slaughter really didn't need to die. That was his godlike streak as well. So I messed that up pretty clearly. But my ult was really good. The Razor was escaping, stunned 3 heroes. We got the Lich on the backline as well with it. It's good in times like that for morale, by the way, to just apologize, to say like, sorry man, I messed up. Some people will take it too far and they'll take that to say like, oh, I get to complain about it now. But I don't think that's a good mentality to have when you play Dota. If somebody apologizes, they're already owning up to their mistakes. You don't rip at them and be like, yeah man, you messed up so bad. It's not like saying, please berate me, you know what I mean? It's an opportunity to just apologize and say, okay, that's alright. You noticed your mistake. Now, if people don't apologize or they claim that they didn't make a mistake and people berate them for it, yeah, I can maybe understand that because it's very frustrating when people don't admit that they messed up. But if somebody apologizes, you should definitely let it go in most cases. Try not to let that get to you because, again, the morale stuff really matters. Like, I played a game earlier today, or the second game I played after this, I was playing in a game and somebody picked Storm. And people just kept saying like, oh man, if you can't get a gank now on Storm, like, you're just awful at Storm. Like, saying things like that is just going to put that person on tilt or make them play worse. Luckily, I don't think he spoke English super well, so I don't think he understood what they were saying. But, like, saying stuff like that makes you feel better temporarily for, like, a couple seconds, but it just makes that other person play worse. And that stuff is so important towards your team succeeding. Like, I can tell when my team's morale is crumbling, and it basically comes down to people saying things like that or, like, saying disparaging statements. No way that I show up to that, because obviously my team is very dead. I have to worry about them cutting me off now, so I should probably run back because they could easily shift over. But I thought we might be fighting mid, so... Now, this is the part that I was talking about. I'm building a Yule Scepter. You can maybe justify a Force Staff, because I could force an ally away from Ursa. I could definitely justify a Blink Dagger as well, because that'd allow me to initiate and save whoever Ursa is going on. But I really felt like getting a Yule's, primarily for the fact that Dispel is really good against Ursa. You can remove his ultimate. Put some slow in this guy here. I was thinking about ulting him here, but I didn't quite feel it. I felt like we weren't going to be able to get a kill. So at this point, it's definitely safer just to run away. But yeah, the Yules is good for other reasons as well. If I'm lacking chase, such as Force Staff or Blink Dagger, the Yules also provides you movement speed, so that's pretty nice to have. I can also feel comfortable standing here because the Invoker had a gem. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to sit there because they could easily come from the left and kill me if they knew I was there. But because they don't, I felt comfortable staying on that cliff. Gems give you so much advantage in Dota, by the way. It's definitely important that you build them. Or purchase them, that is. Get another Splinter Blast to push the wave from safety. We know they don't have a ward there, so now we basically know they don't have observer wards anywhere in the jungle, and we can spend a lot of time here. We can stand in potentially dangerous positions. That was a big mistake from Slark. He should have waited until I got there. Or somebody else. Or he should have Shadow Bladed to initiate. Would have been good. Since nothing's going on, this is where you start jungling. To do that, you always Splinter Blast the lowest HP unit there. And it should take about 2 Splinter Blasts to kill him usually. And if you take a lot of damage, it doesn't matter because you've got Tranquil Boots, right? It's a double damage here at the bot rune. I definitely don't want to be the one to take that.
Double damage.
And this is where I'm talking about split push, basically. This is basically what you can do if you're in an advantage and they don't feel very comfortable about coming up to the creep wave. I can sit like 1,000 units away, I can throw Splinter Blast. Maybe I'm not farming the creeps super efficiently, but the important thing is that I'm getting myself farm. And it's also limiting the space that the opponents get. If they can't leave the area before they even enter the jungle, then it means that they have way less opportunity for farming. And with my Observer Ward where it currently is, it gives us more potential there as well. Now I could kill this creep, but it would take a while, and instead I said screw this, I'm going to go kill the creep wave instead. So again, nuke or creep that isn't being targeted by the creeps, you guarantee yourself 2 last hits, you push the creep wave out, and if you feel comfortable enough in terms of your positioning, you can come forward and get the rest of the last hits. There's some action happening on the top lane, but I can't get there. That's too far away. I would have to TP to a tier 2 and walk, so my mobility is a bit limited here, and I really just want to finish my item. And there are periods in the game where you can do this as support, and you can justify it as supports. Supports don't have to not farm. In fact, the strongest supports in some cases are the ones, and by that I mean the players, are the ones that come back from being at a farm deficit and say like, you know what, I'm actually gonna go get farm. I'd use my Arctic Burn to fly over, but flying over to the Roche pit, I get experience from it as well. Finish my Yule Scepter. But it's good sometimes to back off and farm. I like doing that on Shadow Demon. That was actually a crazy Roche steal, because we actually did just lose a hero, and they were able to take it before they shifted over. So that was a huge Roche steal for us. My allies played that really well. But Yule's is up now. I'm now running 450 movement speed with Tranquil Boots. I've got to disable in case Ursa initiates and I can't save somebody. If he uses his ultimate, I will dispel him. Every single time. Found a random Lich here. Just gonna ult him here because I want to prevent him from doing damage. This is the right play here. Actually do not have it disabled for the Lich, unfortunately. Already used my Yules. So I probably should have kept the Invoker alive the first time, but I messed it up. Oh well. Could fly over this, but it's only a couple more seconds, so thought I would wait. Yeah, as you saw with the Ursa, just like using your ulti sometimes, it just lets your opponents know, like, oh, we have a lot of time just to kill that guy. Guy died so fast.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
They might be able to see the Invoker here, but I just gave him so much heals, I don't think it really matters. Played a lot of slows there on the retreat. Normally I'd run away, but if you look at the map at this point, you basically say like, oh, we actually are collapsed around them. And I'm going to be getting heals now as I reinitiate. Maybe should have ultied there, I'm not quite sure. I have overstayed my welcome.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Slurk played that really well. I maybe could have ultied the Lich and stayed alive that way. I think it might have been an okay idea, to be honest. Because I could have ultied and TP'd. Because the duration is 3 seconds, so you can definitely teleport after you ulti people with it. I probably should have. I don't know if I realized that my ultimate was up or not, though. So I saw it here, but I don't quite remember having that option. I was basically like, there's nothing I can do, I'm dead. I think that was just bad cooldown management. That's all. And now the Ursa complained. Should be a bit worried about a Neko Slime here.
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack.
That's why he's cold snapping him. Yeah, the Ursa really should have gotten it, or the Earthshaker really should have gotten the kill there. So I dropped my Soul Ring. Normally I wouldn't do this, I'd keep it all game. But because of the fact that I have a Yules, I feel justified in getting a little bit less mana here. Oh, he messed up not killing the Earthshaker. Could have killed him. We did lose our gem there, unfortunately. But I found a bounty, so who cares? Right, guys? Got level 15. I thought the Shadow Fiend would come to the Ancient spot, and I could delay him until my allies got there, but he actually didn't come here. So then I checked the Ancient, or the... Okay, I just saw him back in their base. Couldn't figure out where he went, though. I don't much like putting an Observer Ward up there because it's so commonly dewarded. But I did see this courier here. It's another really good way to use Arctic Burn. It's going to take about 3 attacks at least as support.
Radiant's courier has
Oh,
been
that's why they smoked. Okay. They smoked because... At first I just thought they were being stupid, but they smoked because if I'm far enough away, it might dodge the projectile. But I don't know if you can smoke a courier. Don't know if that's possible. Either way, I was either too close to the unit, or you can't smoke couriers. Not sure which. Continue to spam waves, of course. I saw him put this observer down, but I was worried about getting initiated on, so I wanted to use Winter's Curse, or sorry, Arctic Burn to kill it. And I would just sit behind the Invoker, try to protect him in case he gets in trouble.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And I'm just activating my Glimmer Cape, and I'm keeping the option right over the Invoker. That way, if he does get in trouble, I can instantly save him. I should also be thinking about what the initiation scenarios are like. Like, is Ursa going to initiate and kill me, for example? Put an Observer down on the high ground using Glimmer Cape. Usually when you do this, you want to make sure that you're invisible as you approach, because otherwise they're more likely to see you place it. But they already had a sentry up. I was worried about there, because they could have Echo Slam initiated on me next to the Invoker. So now we sit back, we look for an opportunity. Going through middle is probably the best though.
Radiant's middle barracks has fallen. Radiant's middle barracks are
I think I missed both times. I was able to get the Shadow Fiend here.
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack.
Somehow we won the rest of that fight. I don't really know. That shit was crazy, man. I thought that was over as soon as he got the Chain Frost off. So I used my ultimate on the Lich because it disabled the Shadow Fiend for 3 seconds, or 3.5. And also did a lot of damage to him as a result. So I had a really bad early game on Winter Wyvern, but I feel like I transitioned really nice afterwards. Used my abilities correctly. I should have saved the Sardar a couple more times in teamfights, but the important things that I did was the lane pressure mainly. I thought he was for sure going to go in the Sardar here.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen. Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
The light hurts my eyes.
I should have used him earlier.
Radiant's ancient is under attack.
Let's get the jump.
Radiant's ancient is under attack. Dire victory.
Okay, and that is that's Dota 2, guys. So yeah, Winter Wyvern kind of good against everything. Good at passively farming. Good at split pushing. I think the split pushing that I did on the bot lane was extremely important towards pressuring and helping close the game out. It's really important that a lot of people do that. A lot of players are scared to go places and push solo, but sometimes it's really needed because it does keep the pressure on your opponents. It keeps them in one place. It doesn't let them get ganks as often because you always kind of know where they are unless they're smoking. And that's why pushing lanes is so important. If you're winning push, you gotta push lanes. It's so important. The map control it gives you is huge, especially if you have a gem. If you push all the lanes and you have a gem, your opponents are screwed. They're in their base. They're like, I don't feel like we can leave our base. The only way they can do it is by smoking. And then if they get a couple smoke ganks, that's fine. But smoke ganks are limited. You can only smoke gank so often. So that's it helps close the game out a lot there. And I had a couple good team fight ultimates. And at the end, my KDA looked good. But if I could prevent those like first 2 bad deaths, that's kind of one of my biggest weaknesses as a player right now is those early 2 or 3 deaths where I'll do something just really clearly stupid. I'll force too hard on something and I'll die. I mess that up too often right now, and if I would remove that from my play, I think it would make a difference of like at least 200 MMR. Because it forced me to play from behind pretty much all game, and it also gave my opponents an advantage in their lane that they didn't need to have. And if it would have gone the opposite way, where I get a kill or just don't die, then it would make a huge impact over the scope of the game. Earthshaker wouldn't have got his blink as fast, for example, stuff like that, because he got that fissure kill on me. Alright, thanks for watching. That's Winter Wyvern. If you guys want to vote on the next tier that you want to see played, you can go to my forum. The link is down below the drop-down box. Just click the See More button, and you can vote on what hero you want to see. A lot of those I've done already. We're probably going to clear the voting cache soon. I know he's working on programming a way to remove individual entries. That way I can like clear ones that you guys have voted on, and then you can re-vote on them again. But that's not ready yet. So that said, let me take a look at who is up next. So I've covered a lot of the top ones. I know Huskar wasn't up there, but I had a fun Huskar game. Alright, Terrorblade is next. Tuskar did Ember Spirit already. For some reason people are still voting for Ember Spirit. Maybe you guys wanted a better Ember Spirit game, I'm not sure. Enigma, Rubik, I did Rubik already. I don't know why you guys are still voting for Rubik. Shadow Fiend makes sense. Venge, Slark, Earth Spirit, Invoker, Omni Knight, Windrunner, sorry. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep on voting. I'll see you later. Bye.